my falls, my trials and tribulation, my heart, my walls. Somebody stop living, somebody come and get me. Little did I know that the Lord was riding with me. The dark, the light, the heart, the fight, the wrong, the right, the storm.
Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel Egger here. I got my man Lucas, and we are back. This is a movie review, but this is not just any other movie review. This is for Middleburg, Virginia, 2020, their film festival that is virtual this year. That we had the opportunity of checking out the movie, as you can see, One Night in Miami. This is directed by Regina King, but even more than that, this was also from a stage play that was done by, was it Kent Powers, Lucas?
Yep.
And we're gonna break it down what we thought about it. There's been a lot of acclaim behind this film. A lot of people have, been spreading a lot of different things like, oh wow, this is Regina King's directorial debut, and it is a knockout, and it has a lot of flair to it. And they're not wrong. I think that there's a lot of good to this. But I'm curious to see, because I didn't know or have any inclination about it being an actual stage play, which Lucas will expound upon a little bit more. But in terms of it being a film, I actually did have a really good time watching it. I think that it had some very interesting performances that I think worked. It felt like a stage play, though. That's the other thing that was really strange, is that when they're in like the room, like the actual hotel room, that's where all the magic really happens. Like that, everything else kind of feels like it's just kind of there. But at the same time, I think one thing that I'll say, as far as the way that a lot of the actors actually process these iconic characters, I think they do a pretty good job in the execution behind them, as well as through the execution of this actual story. But Lucas, what did you think about, what was your impressions of this, coming from knowing that this came from a stage play?
Here's the weird part. I did not know this was coming from a stage play.
Oh, so you found out when I did. Oh,
okay. and what Sam is alluding to is, while I was watching the movie, I sent him a message and I said, this is a play. And when I sent the message to you that this is a play, and you was like, oh snap, I think you thought I was talking about the movie like filmed as a play. And I said, no, it is structurally set up as a play.
Yeah.
And the moment I said that, I went online and I said, well, let me find out, because I didn't know much about this movie. I've heard the hype around it, but I didn't know much else about the movie. And the moment I looked it up and it said it was a play, my perspective of the movie completely changed. 100. I couldn't even lie about it. My perception of this movie completely changed when I realized it was a play. But again, as the performances go, the performances are not bad at all. They're decent. Like, this is but it leads to me questioning some of the decisions that were done during the movie, that I was able to tell that this was a play. It kind of reminds me of what we get a lot of times with Aaron Sorkin's work, because it's written for stage and it comes across that way. But I do understand some of the praise. I don't understand a lot of it, but I do understand some of the praise for this movie, because in the end, this is still an enjoyable movie. There's no doubt about it. This is a really enjoyable, fun time type of movie. But, and I'll leave the buts as we talk about everything with the movie.
Yeah, we're gonna unpack this as best we can. This is non-spoiler, so don't worry about us spoiling anything. Yes. So as far as the synopsis behind it, the name of it is, of course, One Night in Miami, is a fictional account of one incredible night where icons in Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown gathered discussing their roles in civil rights movement and cultural upheaval of the 60s. For me, I was like, I got done watching it. I was like, I could watch this again. I think from a rewatchability standpoint, you know, a lot of the different lines of dialogue that Kent put into these characters and the back and forth that we always have a commonality when it comes to, you know, processing, us in society, like me and Lucas as critics, or these amazing icons and what they are, what their role is in that specific moment. This movie exhibits that on different levels of dialogue. And I found that very fascinating because they started to question each other's merits. Like there was a lot of different moments where it was kind of like the character Malcolm X, he seemed, innocent enough, but it was kind of like, I was like, what are you really reaching for? And I think that no question or no line of dialogue was kind of left unturned. It wasn't anything that was kind of just left out there for opening and extension. Like they really took an effort to, uncover what these men's processes were through the line of dialogue in the script. And I actually really enjoyed the actual scripting and the dialogue for this film. For far as the cinematography, it wasn't anything necessarily special. I think the score was okay. It wasn't anything special about that. As far as the soundtrack was good because of your boy Leslie Odom. Leslie Odom, he can flat out sing, period. And he was made, he made his mark on Broadway. So it's kind of like him as Sam Cooke was one of the highlights for me in terms of any other, actor in this one. Because I was kind of just like really intrigued by his character throughout most of the time. And not just that, I'm also a very heavy musical buff, and I love like him just to carry a note in any way, shape, or form. But I think that he leveled out a pretty good performance that I don't think he's had a good performance like this in a while, in my personal opinion. But as far as like the actors, who was any of the standouts for you in this one?
To me, the only standout in this is Eli Goree as Muhammad Ali. He was captivating every time he was on screen. It almost felt at times like the story was waiting for his approval to move forward. And that's what I found very intriguing about his performance here. Now, again, this comes from, looking at this through the lens of a stage play.
Yeah. Which
is more set up for monologue, pause, react, monologue, pause, react. That's what you get through every performance in this movie, to me, besides Eli's performance. It's like at times it felt like he was acting in a different movie than everyone else.
Yeah.
It's like everyone else was technically going off of the written word and not really interpreting the characters the way I thought they could. And Eli he was amazing as Muhammad Ali. I mean, absolutely amazing as Muhammad Ali. He had some of the best lines in this movie, but just his mannerisms, the way he walked when he walked into a room.
Yeah.
His presence is felt immediately. And for an actor that I want to say mainly has done television, it's like these are some really good actors in this movie, and he makes them all seem a little small with his performance as Ali. It's to me, it is the strongest performance in this movie. But as you also said, I didn't find anything special at all with the cinematography. The score was okay. I didn't mind it, but it wasn't anything that like instantly stuck out to me.
Yeah.
But his performance really like blew me away.
Yeah.
Like this was a star in the making type of performance.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, because like every moment that he was on camera, whether it was, him just almost like he was like channeling the presence of Muhammad Ali better than what Will Smith tried to do in Ali. And I know that sounds blasphemous. You guys don't take that the wrong way.
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to go that far.
What I'm saying is that the way that he's kind of just, I don't know, there's something about the way his interpretation came out as a young Ali that I was like, he's not this actor doing this. Like, he is really going for it and thriving in it. Yeah. And not just that, there was a level of sincerity about his character that was also identifiable, because everybody else, I mean, he technically hadn't even been the champ yet. He hadn't even had that legacy to be a legend, even though he's got prospects to be one. And he was the innocent one also in it. And even though he's the strongest person and the heaviest weighted person in the room, he left that fleeting level of peace and innocence throughout the entire performance, which I didn't suspect out of all the other characters, which is really intriguing and endearing in the way he did his performance. So I do got to talk about what is his name, Kingsley Ben-Adir, because I think me and Lucas have an interesting opinion about his performance in this one. So in terms of his performance as Malcolm X, I think he did a good job with the dialogue that he was provided. But it was weird because in terms of the way that he carried himself, it was like he was leaving lines of dialogue that seemed and appeared to be powerful when they were happening, but his presence didn't feel that way.
It didn't translate at all.
And it was weird because I was like, and I know this is gonna sound weird, I was like, you know what, if they made like Barack Obama movie, honestly, he would kill it.
He would be the perfect person to play Barack Obama. 100%.
Carry Barack, because it was like everything about how he carries himself, from a physicality and from just his demeanor. I think that he could nail. Honestly, if they ever make it, and I'll say it on record, he would nail that. And I was like, every time I was watching, I was like, man, he's really feeling like a Barack Obama, not a Malcolm X, but Barack Obama. But he's not doing a bad job. But I think that there was a difference in transition when it came to his interpretation or his weight as Malcolm X in most of the film. And it's interesting because what do you think about the performance for Jim Brown?
I know going up like into this award season, it's been a lot of talk about this performance with Jim Brown and how great it is. And I am at a loss because I didn't see anything great about the performance. I'm not going to say it's a bad performance, but amazingly, out of all the characters that we got to know, for people who didn't know, like Sam's backstory, I'm a huge Sam Cooke fan. So they didn't tell me anything I didn't know already. The way we got backstory on him, we got backstory on Malcolm a little bit. We got some story clearly on Ali. And here we are. The only thing we know about Jim Brown is that he left football to play movies. They didn't dig deeper into the psychology of what made Jim Brown, which is the story to talk about. So his performance was okay. It just wasn't, it did nothing to me in moving the story at all. You could have come back and said, we're going to do a story with 3 people in a room and exclude Jim Brown. And I would have been like, okay, that's not a problem. Yeah. Because I don't know if it was purposely done that way, or was he supposed to play the silent, strong type in this movie? Yeah. Because in the middle of Sam's and Malcolm's thing, and then we see it pan off to Jim, it kind of felt that that's what they wanted him to be, was a strong, silent type.
Yeah, I think that they played him up to be the strongest person in the room technically, but the silent one that's listening behind the scenes to try to talk to everybody on a singular level. And I think that there was a missed opportunity there, because I was like, in the very beginning of the movie, they set up something where he was visiting somebody back at his hometown. Oh, man. And that conversation, I was like, dang. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, it's a very strong scene because it puts into perspective every single one of these legends and their realization of who they are as Black men during this time. And I think the other thing I can kind of comment is that, I mean, they really did feel like friends, like not just acquaintances in terms of their performances. They did feel like certain moments they have really good chemistry and they worked and thrived together better than even when they were in their scenes just by themselves. And I think that as far as with his performance, he just catered to everybody else as opposed to fully fleshing out him as an individualist. And maybe that was just because of the amount of time they wanted to kind of spend with the story and they didn't want to go too far off the kilter of the play. I haven't seen the play, so I can't internalize that. But yeah, I mean, hopefully he does get the accolades. That's Aldis Hodge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who I saw be amazing last year in Clemency. So
Yeah.
that's why I felt it just fell flat here. But I don't think it was on him. I think it was meant to fall flat with the Jim Brown character.
Yeah.
Maybe because Jim Brown currently is the most controversial out of all of four of these people. Like Jim Brown is not particularly liked right now
Yeah.
because of his views on certain things. So maybe that's why they pulled back a little bit here on what the qualities that made Jim Brown an amazing person.
Yeah. And again, I do find it I feel like the movie has a lot of rewatchability because there's a lot of subtle things that they put in with the dialogue that make you like, oh, dang, I missed this specific moment. Like there's a moment early on where Kingsley's Michael X is like on the television. He's having this conversation with his wife. And that leads into something else towards the third act of the movie that I thought was really interesting. And I think that the movie itself has rewatchability, and I think it's actually a good film in general. It's not trying to pander one way or another. I think it's just telling the story from these legends' perspective and make them question what's the right thing and how the right way of being in a place of Black empowerment, but at the same as that time, understanding to help one another. How can we best help each other? So I think that was the internalization of the story. But in terms of the story for you, what did you get out of it? What was the point of this play/turn movie?
Just a nice fictional account of what could have been if this night ever took place. That's what I mainly got from it. It's a beautiful fantasy put to screen. That will happen if you actually got these people who in real life were all connected to one another.
Yep.
Like I know for a fact that it's known that Ali and Sam were friends.
Yep.
And it's known the relationship that Malcolm had with them and things of this nature and just Jim Brown in general. So just to have this fictional account of them being in this one room together and having these discussions, that's the key part of the story. It makes you wonder. It makes you feel good just to see it at times, no matter the flaws in the film. Because again, it is a good film. So no matter the flaws that may be in the film, it's still just an enjoyable story.
Yep. And I guess last but not least, this is the person that's also behind the scenes with this in her directorial debut. What did you think about her directorial debut with this? I'm talking about Regina King.
Now, this is where I struggled the most in watching this film. Not because the direction is bad, but I believe it is harder for actors to direct things that are based on stage plays and not solely focus on the actors. And that's what I felt here. It was solely focused on the actors. And as a director, at times you have to see the bigger vision. And if you focus just on actors, like this movie does a lot, it focuses just on the actors. It kind of takes away from what the director could be building. And at times I felt that while it's a good movie, I thought in the hands of a more seasoned director, it could have been great. Because a more seasoned director would actually understand like some of our issues when we talk about them in a room and how to pull different performances out of them. But from an actor standpoint, you're looking for the most powerful performance. That's why someone like Leslie Odom at times with Sam Cooke feels like he's overacting. Like he's trying to give this hard-fought, great performance, and I feel that he's trying to do it, but that's because I believe with Regina, this being her first film, she didn't know how to pull him back. As an actor, if you're an actor, you're going to let other actors go because you understand that perspective as an actor. But as a director, it's your job to coach them into different directions on what things that you need them to do to make your film better. So while this is a very good debut film for Regina King, it may not have been the right film for her debut. But again, it's still a good movie, and she did a really good job at it. But I've seen this before. I want to say kind of Denzel with Great Debaters, where you kind of saw it go off the rails with the actors' performances being so powerful at times that he got lost as a director.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt here. At times, the performances were so powerful, she kind of got lost as a director and didn't know when to pull in, when to pull back, how to set up certain things in here to make it even better.
Yeah. I think the thing with like comparison with this and Great Debaters, I feel like this with Great Debaters, like I watch it maybe once or twice a year, maybe. This I could watch this again and again. Like it's just something about watching these legends and their chemistry from just the story alone. Like it's got a lot of rewatchability, and even you're right as far as like Leslie Odom. Like the two most powerful performances for him to me was the one. I don't want to spoil it, but he's on stage. There's one where he is on stage and something happens pretty messed up. But I think that he did an amazing job. And then the very last scene that he was in, I felt like that was a very strong scene. But the moments where he was in the room where it happened, he really just kind of falls back, and then he tries to go and explode, and it
doesn't come across right when he tries to do that. And again, I think that in the hands of maybe someone who understands, okay, I need you to pull back here, and I need you to just emote that better than what you're doing. Like you're giving me anger, but I don't need just anger. Like give me it's a couple of monologues he does in this film where it just feels so angry you kind of lose the point that they were making with someone as important as Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
And again, without us spoiling anything, especially for people who don't know anything about Sam Cooke and how amazing his story is, it's just certain moments when we get the debate, the back and forth, and you're like, well, wait. If you say that softer, if you change a slight bit of the camera angle there to show something a little different, you have a great opportunity here. And we never get that. Instead, we get a really good shot instead of a great shot. And I think we can afford to be picky here because we're saying the movie is good. So when you say a movie is good, that's when you get picky. And you can say, I can pick apart this, I can pick apart that, because in the end, even through my picking, the movie is still good.
Still good. Yeah. Like it's still really good. And I'm curious through award season, like how people are gonna perceive it. But in terms of you guys as general audiences, I think you're gonna have a fun time with it. I think you're gonna really enjoy it. I think that there's gonna be something really special that you're gonna kind of connect with it when it comes to brotherhood, maybe fellowship, or just connection and trying to work together, even in your indifference as a people. I think that there's something to be had and told with this story. What do you rate this one, Lucas?
Wow. Whew. I'm gonna say, Jesus, thank you for putting me on the spot there, even though it's not really on the spot, like we're not reviewing this. 8 out of 10, maybe. Yeah, because I was leaning at that 7.5, but I can give it a solid 8 out of 10. I mean, Eli's performance alone is what's pushing me to say 8 out of 10. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, we nitpicked and we started picking different things apart, but again, we had this conversation before with some other shows and stuff like that. We want to talk about how we can make this perfect, how we can, as Black content creators and directors and media exploration, to make things better. So we're talking about it and breaking it down. But I personally already had settled in my head at 8.5 out of 10. I think that for me, I literally could watch this again and again and again and really just kind of like reminisce on it. And also want to dive deeper in looking into these, amazing icons in and of themselves as well. Like there's something to be had about certain lines of dialogue. It's like, dang, did that really happen? Wait, whoa, what? And I love that.
That's why I say, hey, it's a documentary on Netflix about the life of Sam Cooke. if you have not seen it, and you in December when this drops, and you happen to see this film, and you want to know more about him, and it's a documentary about Malcolm X on Netflix. Gee, do they have a documentary of Muhammad Ali? I think one might be on Netflix. The only one we don't have a solid one on is Jim Brown, which is a more complicated story and something that definitely needs to be made because his story is amazing. But all those, look at those, and I guarantee you may see, even if you don't like it, because it's going to be people that don't like this movie. Even if you don't like it, if you see those documentaries and watch this movie again, your eyes about what they're saying will change. And because I know this stuff, and I believe Sam knows this stuff, it opened up more of, I understand this conversation. I understand the importance of this conversation, including even, without spoiling anything, even though clearly it's in the history book, so everybody should know at this point, the talks of Bob Dylan later on in the film. Like, that whole setup is an actual story that Sam has told multiple times. And just that the dialogue between them two at that point is so powerful.
Yeah. So do we have to give credit to the screenwriter then, Kent Powers?
I'll say this with Mr. Powers, that I believe he wrote an amazing play. And we just watched the movie, and I feel he wrote an amazing play. Maybe at times what happens is, if you are a playwright and you have written a play, it may not be the best idea for you to then turn said play into a movie, because a different perspective may be needed of someone who may understand how to set it up better. Because his words are going to be his words, no doubt about that, and you feel the power in his words. But at times, a different screenwriter or maybe a co-writer is needed to be brought in to turn your play into an actual film. In turn, what we got was a play turned into a high quality filmed play instead of an actual movie. Yeah,
but again, I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Definitely going to check it out. Thank you to Middleburg Film Festival for allowing us to be able to check this out and go and cover it. We will be having a slew of reviews for a lot of different films coming very soon. So make sure you subscribe, hit that bell button, go down to the description bar below. You can go and check out Lucas on Twitter. Ask him whatever questions you want. Ask us any questions you want in the comment section below. Just as long as it doesn't pertain to spoilers, we will talk about it.
There you go.
We are going to go because we got to review something else. Later, guys.